Hey, that's pretty good.
As you can see, that wasn't too bad. So, Ganyu, a big question coming back to us. This is going to be her second rerun really soon. And I know that many of us are going to be having the question to see if she is actually still worth it for you to pull at this point in time, or better yet, if you're planning to go for constellations, is that still something you should consider doing? Now, these are big questions that we have to answer because most of us have already known Dendro reactions have just basically arrived, hitting us with the question of whether or not Ganyu is actually been nerfed or she is still the powerful DPS she always known to be. Which is why we have today's video discussing exactly that to help you make the best decision when it comes to whether or not you want to pull for Ganyu. And so without further ado, let us just jump right in. Now looking back to Ganyu's original monstrous strength, she first appeared all the way back in 13th of January in 2020, so technically the first ever 5-star DPS character, and she have turned out to be an absolutely amazing character the moment she arrived. Everyone back then literally hailed her as the legendary Coco Gold Adaptile Beast due to her insane charge attack damage. She appeared in almost everyone's team as the hyper carry, and everyone just wanted her for not only she deals amazing damage, but she can also one-shot all of teammates' vision, or in other words, she is a bow user that deals AoE damage, which is really rare because up until this point, aside from Tainari who has a little bit of cluster bloom damage, Ganyu is still basically the top user of bow character that have access to really good AoE damage. The bloom damage that she deals is even better than her first charge attack hit. Therefore, especially during group situations, she's able to clear them out with ease. Now, not only that, she is a Cryo character, for then Cryo is also one of the strongest elements that have access to melt plus freeze reaction. Now, I know that freeze reaction don't usually help us with damage, but still has one of the best utilities in the game for freezing enemies, just makes your gameplay a lot easier. Plus frozen enemies working with Cryo resonance, you're just having an extra a lot more crit rate to work with. Also then, there's almost no enemies with Cryo resistance, apart from Cryo Chichin Mage and Cryo Slam, which is almost impossible for her to deal with still at this point. Other than that, most other Cryo enemies she can take care of pretty fine. And also most of the time the Abyss still favors Cryo character, therefore she is always found in many of the team and have her usage used a lot. Now apart from the huge facts that her kit helps her a lot with her DPS potential, but also she has access to really good support capabilities as well, especially with her burst help your team with a lot of Cryo applications, on top of very good damage that it's already deal with. Furthermore, her passive talent 2 just give any Cryo character within the burst AoE an extra 15% Cryo damage, which is just absolutely nuts. So all around, she's just a very good character to have, especially if you want to have a good hyper carries. But then, Dendro elements arrived. Now when Dendro reaction was first announced, I know that most Cryo lover who didn't see Dendro reacting with Cryo would have been like,
they ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
but that's to be expected since Cryo has been so powerful of a reaction element and raw damage wise due to it having very good Cryo element characters as well, not just Ganyu. So since Dendro reaction doesn't have anything to do with Cryo, does that mean that Cryo as a whole and Ganyu herself has been nerfed? Now to answer the question slightly better, we'll look a bit into the data of this current Abyss character usage. Disclaimer guys, I know that these data aren't always exactly correct, and also the character usage percentage aren't always an exact representation of how good the character is, but it does give us an overall view of how everyone is performing. So as we can see here, this is the current data of our Chinese server. Now if we were to be ignoring most of our sub DPS and best support character as usual, the next best are our two hyper carries, which is Ayaka and Hu Tao. So we already see a Cryo character on a very good number here, and then on the next level we can see Ganyu still has her appearance on a 21.7% usage. Not only that, there are still Shanhua as our support characters as well. So overall, these are the best Cryo character in the game for the time being, and they are still being used in our current Abyss. And especially with Ganyu or Ayaka, right, they are hyper carries, meaning that if you are running them in a team, especially in the Abyss, you are going to be building a whole team around Cryo hyper carries. Is either going to be melt or freeze. So in other words, that whole team is going to be specialized on your Cryo hyper carry character. And so with this data in hand, it's then not a question of nerf, simply because Dendro reaction arrival doesn't directly nerf anyone, especially Cryo characters. It's just there to change up the gameplay of other characters, mainly Electro and Hydro characters. So in other words guys, Ganyu is still our Ganyu. Unless they do release other new Cryo enemies or enemies that heavily have Cryo resistant, then she will have more of a hard time. But if it is not, till this point in time, the enemies that have the most Dendro element, I would say, is our veggie chicken here. Yet it has the same resistance against Cryo, which is 25%, just as to any other element apart from Dendro, which is 80%. So Dendro arrival didn't technically limit any character usage, but it just helped other certain characters have their chance to shine, like Keqing, Fischl, or even Kokomi a lot more, and there are many other characters as well. So Cryo character, especially Ganyu's ability to perform at her maximum level, is still going to be the same. So that goes to show guys, if any of us here is kind of like frightened that Ganyu is not on the same level as she is, personally I say she is still absolutely perfect. She's still fine. I just love her as usual. She is still the way she is. And so now we want to touch on her pros and cons so that you have the complete whole picture of how Ganyu is as a character. Is that first of all, she is still one of the best DPS character in the game right now. I can guarantee you that. She has access to very good charge attack AoE damage and very easy to play because all you have to do is use her charge attack, use her E skills, and then spam her burst. Her burst damage is also very good because the area of effect is very large, and the Cryo application plus supporting your team, therefore she can also be a support character on the team if you do want to use her that. Now something to note guys is that you don't even need to build Ganyu as a support character, and you can still use her DPS build and then putting her into her support role, and she will still do absolutely fine because you might be missing out a little bit of burst uptime. However, when she does able to cast her burst, the damage dealt is a lot higher than Ganyu when she is built in support build. Therefore, just build her DPS role and then you're absolutely fine with whatever role you use her in your team. Now she also have very good reaction because we know that Melt and Freeze team are very good to run with her, and Ganyu as C0 is still a fantastic character. I've always had her as C0 and she is still currently one of my best DPS character in my account right now. But if you want to get her constellation as well, they are all very good, especially her C1, her C4, and her C6. And then finally is that she doesn't get really too much affected by any of the Dendro reaction changes. She is still doing fine. Even if Dendro doesn't react with Cryo, she still does Cryo raw damage very well. well, so she still works in most of her old team really fine. As for her cons, she is very easily staggered. For most bow character are like that, so best when she is used with a shield character on your team so that you don't get staggered while she is using her charge attack, because if she does miss any of her shot or if she does get interrupted, there is going to be a huge DPS loss because each of her charge attack just deals a lot of damage. And also her gameplay once again can be a little bit boring for certain people after a while playing because she's just very easy to use and use her charge attack all the time. However, for me personally, I never get tired of it because seeing her charge attack and killing enemies from afar is just way too fun. And then of course one of her cons is that she doesn't have any Dendro reaction, and therefore there will be no team comp for her for the time being unless we have any other Cryo support character. Other than that, anytime there are new Dendro character arrives, they wouldn't be on Ganyu's team. And so that should have been quite an overall view of Ganyu's in our current meta. So here is going to be the time for you to answer the big question, and now I will be giving my, I would say, personal advice, which is something that I would follow for myself. But once again guys, it is going to be my own opinion, so it's your decision as always to follow me or not. And it's that you should only pull for Ganyu at this point in time only if you really love her as a character, because if you are lacking in any of the hyper carries, we are currently in the period of Dendro meta. There will definitely be many other good hyper carries coming to the game, especially Dendro, who reacts so well with other elements. Not to mention Kusanali is going to be arriving pretty soon. And same goes for Constellation, right? It's never a must for you to invest into Constellation, so if you are someone of a spender and then you have Primo Gems to spare, you can go for Constellation. But most of us free-to-play player especially, I would never recommend you to go for any of the Constellations. So if you're looking for a good character, it is undeniably that Ganyu is amazing as always, but unless you really like her right now, there will be for sure better character to come, because as you know, Nilou and Xeno is right around the corner as well. So guys, I hope that you have found the video helpful. If you still have any question whatsoever, do leave it down in the comment section and I will get to you there. If you do enjoy this type of video guys, I make a lot of guides and other fun videos regarding Genshin Impact, so if you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to not miss out on any of my future videos. I really appreciate you guys sticking till this part of the video, and with that I wish you a super day and I will catch you on the next video.